There are so many people that think that their teammates are holding them back from ranking up in Rocket League. The most ironic thing about this is that most people who say this are people who spend their time solo queuing, meaning that they're getting queued up with different teammates almost every single game. If you're losing every ranked game you play, but you're getting different teammates most of the time, there's one common factor for all these games that you're losing, and that common factor is you. For the sake of this example, let's divide up the player base into 3 categories. The first category is teammates that are actually good. They play really well and do more than they're expected to hold up their end of the team. The second category is teammates that are just okay. They're pretty neutral, and the outcome of the game depends more on which category you end up falling into. And the third category is teammates that are just bad. They've had a really bad day of Rocket League, and they're just making mistakes that are leading the team to get scored on. The outcome of the game depends on which team has better players. Like, a team with 1 neutral player and 1 good player will beat a team with 1 good player and 1 bad player. The thing about this matchup is that most players, even at Grand Champ, think that you can control how good you play, but you can't control your teammate. But what if I told you that you actually can? What if I told you that your playstyle can directly affect how good your teammate plays individually? Because that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm talking about 5 of the best ways you can play that will ensure your teammate does the best they can. Number 5. Stop going for flip resets, dude. Sure, they're pretty cool, but the whole point of a flip reset is to make it look like you're about to drop it, but then you end up hitting it again with some power. This can be a huge risk for double commits. You may be faking out the other team, but you're also faking out your teammate. From his point of view, it looks like you just screwed up your air dribble, so he's thinking he needs to dive in and take possession before the opponents do. That's a completely fair mentality for him to have. So if you end up missing the goal on the flip reset, your teammate will have already gone, and assuming the other team didn't double commit, it'll be a wide open goal on an easy breakaway. This happens way more often than you think. Flip resets are so glorified that people try and convince themselves that they're way more competitively viable than they actually are. The only time I go for a flip reset is if I know I'm not going to have enough boost to air dribble, so I get my flip right off the bat and then flip into it as early as I can. There's way less of a chance that my teammate is going to get faked out by this, so it's useful to use when you know you're going to run out of boost and your teammate isn't going to be anywhere near to follow up your touch. That's the only competitive way I've found to use them. Number 4. Stop hesitating. I know it's easier said than done, but you've got to get in the habit of making your decisions early. Hesitating causes a chain reaction between you and your teammate where each of you can't decide who's going to do what. If you can't decide if you're going to commit, how is your teammate supposed to decide if he's going to? A couple common bad habits in hesitating include turning your car left and right as you're unsure if you're going to go for it or turn back, and doing this forward and back motion in net, as I know we're all guilty of from time to time. In Rocket League, you feel like you have to keep your car moving the whole time in order to play fast, but if you're not going anywhere, there's no point in doing this forward and back motion. It'll fake out your teammates and put you in an antsy mood where you feel like you have to do something, but you're not sure exactly what. The best way to stop hesitating is by making your decisions early, no matter what. It's better to make a bad decision early than not make one at all. When you make a bad decision early, sure, your teammate might yell at you and get all toxic, but at least it'll give them time to recover and make a decision of their own. When you don't make a decision at all and you get scored on from hesitating, you don't learn anything from that mistake other than stop hesitating, which is obvious. If you make your decision early, it makes you much more readable from your teammate's perspective, which is exactly what you want. Even if you do end up making a bad decision from choosing too early, at least you can still learn from it, unlike if you just hesitated and got caught in no man's land. Number 3. Be obvious. This one kind of goes hand in hand with stop hesitating. What I mean by this is make it very clear by your movements around the field that you're committing to a decision. That decision may be that you're moving upfield to be ready for a pass, or that you're committing to the ball, or most importantly, when you're going straight back. If you're looking for some gameplay to watch that's a good example of this, watch an episode of Musty's 3s Until I Lose or 2s Until I Lose series. He does a really good job of making the decision for his teammates easy by making it very clear what he's doing and where he's going. The thing is, if I'm solo queuing, I'd much rather have a predictable teammate that isn't very good rather than an unpredictable teammate that plays much better on his own. At a high level of play, if you don't know what your teammate's plan is, you can get punished really easily for just minor mistakes. That's why it's super important to make it obvious to each teammate what your next move is. Number 2, don't be afraid to pass. Lots of the time in solo queue, players try and do everything on their own and just have their teammate there for backup. The only way a team play happens with this strategy is if one player puts a shot on and then that gets saved and then the other comes in to clean up the mess. A common strategy I recommend that isn't even risky and requires no communication at all is purposely missing the net by a little bit. So if you're dribbling downfield and there's one guy in net, try purposely flicking it off the backboard to allow your teammate to follow it up. It's way harder to read a bounce off the backboard when you're in net than just a shot on goal, so passing it off the backboard or to the side of the net is a really useful strategy to incorporate team play into your solo queue games. And it can even bait in the defender to go for a save when it's not even on target.
But my teammates don't score when that happens.
Well, this leads me to my next point, which is number 1, have trust. Your teammate is the same rank as you for a reason. It's so easy to critique other people for the way they play when you're not watching from their perspective with an open mind. Even if you know for a fact that your teammate is horrible, you'll have a better chance at winning if you trust him rather than if you don't and you cut him off in high tense situations. One of my favorite ways of scoring is when I see two guys getting back on defense at the same time and I just put a slow shot on net and watch them double commit. They'll save the first shot, but since they didn't trust each other, the follow-up shot would be completely free. Let's say you and your teammate are both on defense. If there's a shot on net, you need to trust that your teammate is going to make the save unless you genuinely think that you yourself couldn't make that save if you were in his position. If you don't trust him and he makes the save, well, you just double committed and the other team will probably have a free shot and it would be 100% your fault. If you don't trust him and he does miss and you do end up making that save, well, you still double committed, so it's probably going to be another free shot anyway. And the same idea goes if you're on offense. Listen, I have no reason to lie to you. I know there's a ton of you out there that are probably just going to disregard this tip, but I put it as number 1 for a reason. It's definitely the most common and easiest way to allow you and your teammate to work better, which ultimately leads to generation of good habits and more games won. Boom, quick announcement. A ton of you guys have asked me on Twitter and Discord if I do one-on-one coaching, and until now, the answer has always been no. But I'm pleased to announce that I am now a coach on GamersRdy, so you can find me there and we can go over what specifically you need to work on to improve your game. Link in the description. Also, you guys should follow me on Twitter for spicy tweets and updates on plans for future videos. That link's in the description as well. Lastly, hit the subscribe button, dude! Come on, almost 90% of you are not subscribed to the channel. Here, I'll show you. You just gotta go BAM and BAM. Completely free, look at that. But seriously, all jokes aside, I appreciate you, and I will see you later. Thanks!